I'm seated at the dinner table, my fingertips running along the rim of the crystal tumbler that perfectly matches the others, each one precisely positioned around my parents' polished mahogany dining set. Parker's commencement party has transformed our Chicago suburban residence into a display piece, pristine white roses cascading from Mother's finest vases, the premium china sparkling beneath the overhead chandelier. Father's premium whiskey circulating among his country club companions. 23 years of age and university complete. The favored son triumphant. Father stands from his position at the table's head, striking his crystal glass with a silver utensil. The crisp chime quiets the gathering. I look toward Mother, catching her averting her gaze. Her fingers flutter to straighten her strand of pearls, a nervous habit I've observed since my youth. Everyone, may I have your focus? Father's voice carries that particular inflection he reserves for corporate negotiations and significant proclamations. Today celebrates more than Parker's Northwestern graduation. Parker, seated opposite me, squares his shoulders beneath his fitted jacket. His expression holds the assured anticipation of someone who's never questioned whether fortune would favor him. "Catherine, please bring it forward." Father summons, and his assistant emerges from the corridor carrying a small gift wrapped in blue silk. Father presents it to Parker with ceremonial gravity. "Son, your mother and I are immensely proud of your achievements. 4 years of business education. Prepared to enter the family enterprise." Parker receives the package, his face pleasantly surprised yet unsurprised. He's been trained to anticipate rewards throughout his existence. "Unwrap it," Mother encourages, her tone bright with anticipation. Parker loosens the silk, opens the lid, and extracts a solitary key attached to a leather fob. His brows arch upward. "That," Father declares to the room, "unlocks Unit 1805 at the Waterstone downtown with river views. We felt you deserved an appropriate residence to begin your career." The Waterstone, where 2-bedroom units begin at $450,000. The table explodes with clapping and exclamations. Glasses elevate in salute. I preserve my expression, facial muscles tense, the identical smile I displayed when Parker received an automobile for his 16th birthday while I got driving instruction. The expression I mastered when he attended Northwestern with our parents' financial backing, while I assembled online courses between accounting job shifts. My water remains untouched. I don't trust my hands to stay steady. Hours afterward, visitors depart with final congratulations. I collect dessert dishes in the kitchen, disposing of leftover cake. Father materializes in the entrance, loosening his necktie. "Sierra, we must address your housing arrangement." I position the plates gently in the basin. "My housing arrangement?" With Parker established, "We're reassessing domestic arrangements," he states as if discussing corporate restructuring. "Beginning next month, you'll need to provide $1,200 monthly rent." The kitchen appears to shift slightly. "Rent. You're 25, maintaining 2 positions. Time you contributed your portion." "My portion?" "Last year, I provided $15,000 toward household costs, groceries, utilities, property taxes when their finances tightened, excluding countless hours organizing their disorganized records, preparing tax paperwork, deciphering Father's scattered business receipts." I notice my voice stays level while something fractures within my chest. "It's what mature individuals do, Sierra, support themselves." Behind him, Parker walks past, new key spinning around his finger as he ascends the stairs. This instant isn't shocking. It represents the peak of a pattern so recognizable, I should have predicted it. Me laboring late evenings on family accounting while Parker attended social events. Father dismissing my certification progress as glorified bookkeeping while financing Parker's degree. Mother confiding to her friend last month, voice hushed but audible. "Parker represents our family's destiny." I flatten my palms against the counter. "May I inquire why such disparity exists in your treatment of us?" Father's demeanor shifts to annoyance. "When you achieve something comparable to college graduation, we'll discuss it. I'm 3 credits from completing my accounting degree." Silence extends between us. Something flickers across his features, surprise quickly concealed. He was unaware or had forgotten. "That's pleasant," he recovers. "But Parker graduated from an actual university, not some internet program." I nod once, the motion controlled. Thank you for the clarification. Later, in my childhood chamber, I retrieve my record journal. 5 years of financial contributions carefully documented, proof of my unseen labor. Behind it on my shelf rests Grandma Clara's photograph album. I remove it, turning to our lake house picture. Me at 12, her arm encircling my shoulders, both smiling at something beyond the frame. I turn to the album's back, where she preserved important notes. A small card falls out, her graceful script still legible. SJB Trust, $250,000. My hands become motionless. SJB, Sierra Jane Bennett. I grab my phone and message Aunt Susan. I need to discuss Grandma Clara's trust. The message concludes with a soft swoosh, like something being liberated. The following day, the vinyl seating at Cassidy's Diner creaks as I adjust my position. 30 miles from home, this weathered roadside establishment with its constant aroma of bacon fat serves purposes beyond its average coffee. No one from my parents' social network would venture here. Aunt Susan enters the booth across from me, her silver-highlighted hair secured in a casual bun. Dark shadows beneath her eyes reveal a restless night. She grips her handbag against her torso, like protection. You resemble Clara so much, she murmurs, examining my features. She'd be incredibly proud of who you've become. The server places 2 coffee mugs on our table. I encircle mine with my hands, seeking comfort rather than caffeine. Thank you for coming, I express. I discovered something in Grandma's album. Susan acknowledges, lips compressed. Her fingers tap against her purse in nervous rhythm. I've anticipated this discussion for 3 years. The declaration suspended between us, confirmation of something I hadn't completely permitted myself to accept until now. My stomach constricts. Susan reaches into her bag and produces a manila folder, edges worn. She pauses, then pushes it across. Clara created this trust when you turned 16, she explains. $250,000 for your education and prospects. I witnessed it, but Robert held legal authority after her stroke. I open the folder with controlled hands, though my pulse pounds against my ribs. The top document bears Jameson Financial Trust letterhead. My name in prominent letters, Sierra Elizabeth Bennett Educational Trust. He stole it. I state the words flatly rather than questioning. Susan's eyes moisten. I suspected, but couldn't believe my brother capable of this. I examined bank statements, each page revealing fresh betrayals, systematic withdrawals starting in 2018, accelerating through 2020. The timing corresponds perfectly with Parker's tuition payments. Northwestern University appears repeatedly in transaction records. Grandma established this specifically for you, Susan continues. She worried about Robert's favoritism toward Parker. She wanted to guarantee your educational opportunities regardless of your parents' decisions. My fingers halt at a transfer authorization at the bottom. My signature, except I never signed it. This isn't my signature, I declare, voice strained. Susan extends across the table, her hand covering mine. I know. The diner seems to fade as I stare at the forgery. Not merely fraud, but betrayal at the most intimate level. Someone studied my handwriting, practiced it, perfected it sufficiently to deceive banking officials. When did these transfers occur? I ask, returning to the largest withdrawals. Susan hesitates. The major transfers happened in April of your senior year. April 2018, the month I spent 3 days hospitalized after collapsing from exhaustion. 3 days I barely recall through medication and sleep haze. A memory emerges, father bringing school paperwork to my hospital bed. Me signing without reading, trust implicit. Despite our differences, my teenage conviction that certain boundaries wouldn't be violated. They exploited my hospitalization, I say. The words taste metallic. Susan nods. Robert claimed you'd agreed to assist Parker with college costs, that you'd signed willingly. I continue through documents, each page another puzzle piece. Who forged the subsequent signatures? Susan examines her untouched coffee. Parker has always excelled at copying handwriting since childhood. Something connects. The caricatures Parker sketched of teachers in high school, the falsified excuse notes, the mock signatures. Skills he practiced, encouraged, and celebrated within our family. This was never about my inadequacy. I realize, understanding dawning like cold sunlight. They knew precisely their actions. The journey home feels longer than 30 miles. I park but remain seated, scrolling through my phone to organize my thoughts. My mother's social media appears in my feed, a photograph from Parker's celebration, everyone beaming beneath filtered perfection. The caption reads, "So proud of our perfect family. Parker's success and Sierra's uniqueness. Blessed mama. Proud parents." Uniqueness, the term she employs when unable to find genuine accomplishments to celebrate. I enter through the side entrance, voices drifting from father's office. The door stands partially open, enough to observe my parents and Parker gathered around the desk. "The Anderson account should be your primary focus," father tells Parker. "It's our business foundation. Eventually, everything will be yours to oversee." Mother's hand rests on Parker's shoulder. "You'll excel, darling. You are destined for this." Their future vision crystallizes clearly. My contributions were expected, Parker's rewarded. My effort was duty, his was inheritance preparation. In my bedroom, I retrieve my phone and dial a number saved for years, but never used. Mark Delaney's office responds with a professional voice. "This is Sierra Bennett," I state. "I need to discuss a trust established by my grandmother, Clara Bennett." 20 minutes later, I'm explaining the documents to Mark. His expression grows increasingly grave on my laptop screen. "Sierra, this transcends unfairness. It's criminal," he finally declares. "Multiple fraud counts, forgery, fiduciary fund misappropriation. Your father could face severe consequences." I examine the documents across my bed. I don't seek vengeance. I want what belongs to me. Then peace. Mark nods understandingly. "We'll handle this discreetly, but firmly." Upon returning from the bathroom, a document lies centered on my bed, a rental agreement with my name typed at the top. Monthly rate, $1,200. Clause 8 highlighted yellow. Failure to make timely payments results in immediate residency termination. Mother appears in my doorway, fingers twisting her wedding band. "Your father simply wants you to learn responsibility," she says softly but unconvincingly. I meet her gaze directly. "I've been responsible since 16. She opens her mouth, closes it again. No defense emerges. The silence speaks volumes. Before sunrise, I pack systematically, essential documents, financial records, clothing, family photographs featuring Grandma Clara. I leave my childhood stuffed animals arranged on the bed, guardians of a past I'm finally prepared to abandon. The attic yields one final discovery, Grandma Clara's journals, dusty but preserved in a cedar chest. I scan pages of elegant script until a passage captures my attention. I worry about Robert's influence on the children, especially Sierra. He perceives her strength as threat rather than legacy. I must safeguard what I can. Morning's first light filters through my bedroom window as I place a handwritten letter on my perfectly arranged bed. 3 pages detailing every contribution I've made to this household, every betrayal I've documented, every truth I now comprehend. The front entrance closes, behind me with a gentle click. No theatrical slam, no emotional farewell. Simply the soft sound of one chapter concluding and another commencing. Morning sunlight reflects off Lake Michigan as I enter Aunt Susan's gravel drive. Her cottage, weathered cedar with white accents, nestles among towering pines that murmur in the Michigan breeze, worlds away from suburban Chicago, worlds away from them. I turn off the engine and pause, hands resting on the steering wheel. The 2-hour northward journey allowed me to experience every emotion, fury, sorrow, betrayal, until reaching something more stable, resolve. Susan emerges on the porch, drying her hands on a worn apron. Her silver-streaked hair catches the wind. She waves, and something in her smile evokes Grandma Clara so strongly, my throat constricts. "You arrived safely." She hurries down the steps, embracing me in a hug scented with cinnamon and coffee. When she steps back, her eyes shine with unshed tears. "Your grandmother purchased this place for me, you know. She believed in properly caring for family." The word properly hangs between us. Everything my parents' treatment wasn't. Inside, The cottage radiates warmth, wood, and comfortable wear. A bay window overlooks the lake, capturing morning light. Susan shows me to a small bedroom with twin beds covered in handmade quilts. The other room has superior lighting, she mentions. I thought you might want it for studying. The second bedroom has been converted. A desk faces the window with water and sky views. A lamp, extension cords, and office supplies await in neat organization. I remember you mentioning needing 3 more credits, Susan says simply. Figured you'd want to continue. My throat tightens again. Such minor kindness, acknowledgement of my goals, yet so foreign. I establish my laptop, arrange textbooks, create a temporary office while files download. I stand at the window. The lake extends blue and infinite, contrasting sharply with my internal turmoil. 3 credits. Just 3 more credits before possessing what they claimed I never would. That evening, my phone begins its predictable symphony. Mother. Sierra, please inform us of your location. We're terribly worried. Mother. Your father isn't himself. Please return so we can talk. Mother. At least confirm you're safe. I place the phone face down, but not before noticing father's email notification. Subject: Family financial documents. Sierra, return all financial records immediately. Your removal of these documents constitutes family property theft. Susan observes me from her armchair, book forgotten in her lap. They'll persist trying, she says gently. I nod, checking my phone once more. A text from Parker appears. Dad's livid. What did you steal? Not where are you? Not are you all right? Just concern for what their father might have lost. I power down the phone completely. They're more concerned about the documents than about me. Susan's mouth tightens. I'm unsurprised. The next morning, Mark Delaney arrives, Aunt Susan's attorney friend. He appears nothing like expected. Weathered features, flannel shirt, more outdoorsman than lawyer, but his eyes are keen as he examines the trust documentation spread across Susan's kitchen table. Your grandmother was meticulous, he observes, indicating a clause with his finger. Robert had fiduciary obligation. Using these funds for Parker's education constituted clear violation. I present another document. He falsified my signature here and here. Mark nods, taking notes. We'll begin with a formal letter, give them opportunity to rectify this. They won't, I state with cold certainty. No, likely not, Mark concurs, but the court will want evidence we attempted. Later, while examining bank records, I discover something that stops my breathing. Parker's condominium down payment came directly from the trust. Mark examines the statement, whistles quietly, not even attempting concealment by that point. The certified letter departs the next day. I envision it arriving at their pristine house, father's expression as he signs for it, the legal language bomb detonating in their carefully constructed reality. Life at the cottage establishes routine, morning online classes, afternoons assisting Susan with her garden, evenings preparing for my final accounting examination. The lake becomes my constant, sometimes mirror still, sometimes storm-churned, always present. 2 weeks after arriving, I submit my final exam. The screen immediately displays my score, 97%. Susan insists on celebration. She produces a champagne bottle and 2 flutes that belong to Grandma Clara. To your determination, she toasts. I touch my glass to hers, bittersweet emotion blooming beneath my ribs. I had always imagined they would be present for this milestone. The following morning, a heavy package arrived containing my accounting degree certificate. Looking at my name printed in formal lettering, Sierra Elizabeth Bennett felt like both triumph and accusation. I had accomplished what they demanded, yet I couldn't have managed it without what they withheld from me. The joy was fleeting. Mark phoned with updates. The attorney representing your father has replied. They're rejecting all claims. His tone grew strained. Sierra, they've submitted your medical records as proof that you're psychologically unstable and financially reckless. The hospital documentation from my final year, exhaustion, dehydration, anxiety, now weaponized against me. A particularly harsh coldness settled in my ribcage. There's additional information, Mark went on. Parker has provided a sworn statement asserting you verbally transferred your inheritance to him. A sound escaped me, harsh and brittle. Naturally, he would claim that. That night, my mother contacted Susan's home phone. I observed from the kitchen table as Susan's expression shifted while she listened. "She's present and secure," Susan stated firmly. "Elaine, I believe." She ceased listening, then extended the phone toward me, eyebrows questioning. I accepted it, bringing it to my ear. "Sierra?" My mother's voice fractured. "Why are you inflicting this damage on our family?" The customary guilt surfaced, then retreated equally fast. Family, as though that term retained its original significance. "I'm not harming our family," I responded calmly. "I'm merely reclaiming what belongs to me." The subsequent day delivered unexpected assistance. Clara's previous financial consultant, Michael Winters, reached out to Mark. "I've been out of practice for 5 years," he clarified during our conference call. "However, I maintained copies of all documents. Your grandmother was specific, Sierra. Those funds were designated for you. Robert promised me he would respect her intentions." Additional proof gathered. A documentation trail so evident that even Mark became optimistic. "This transcends impropriety. It's obvious fraud," he declared, arranging initial court sessions. "We must prepare for litigation." I envisioned confronting them in a courtroom. My father's icy glare, my mother's weeping, Parker's bewilderment. I must be there, I informed Mark. I must meet their gaze directly. That night, while examining Grandma Clara's old Bible that Susan maintains on her shelf, a closed envelope tumbled out. My name inscribed in Clara's graceful script on aged paper contained her ultimate message. "My beloved Sierra, if you're discovering this, something has failed. I've consistently observed Robert's preference for Parker, even when Elaine remained blind to it. I worry about what this could mean for your future. After my passing, the trust I've established serves your independence, your schooling, your prospects. $250,000 may appear excessive to others, but I've witnessed you labor doubly hard for half the acknowledgement your brother gains. This money represents justice, not charity. You've always possessed strength, the one who perceives truth clearly. That fortitude will guide you when reality surfaces. Remember, your value isn't determined by their acknowledgement of it. With all my affection, Grandma Clara." The letter shook in my grasp. She understood, had always understood, and attempted to shield me from beyond death. I folded the letter with care, returning it to its envelope. Standing by the window, observing dusk descend over the lake, I made a silent vow to the grandmother who recognized me when others didn't. I would recover what's rightfully mine with the composed dignity she demonstrated. Not seeking vengeance, but pursuing justice. Not through theatrics, but through truth. The water darkened to deep blue as final light disappeared. Tomorrow we would prepare for court. I reached the courthouse 60 minutes early the next morning. The marble surfaces gleamed beneath harsh lighting, echoing with each click of my practical black shoes. Mark walked alongside me, carrying his briefcase, his presence calm and comforting. "Are you prepared for this?" he inquired quietly. I nodded once. I'd been ready for years, simply hadn't realized it. We positioned ourselves in the corridor outside courtroom B. I adjusted my gray blazer, smoothing imaginary creases from my skirt. Every paper was arranged in marked folders, every testimony practiced mentally during wakeful nights at Aunt Susan's lake house. The primary entrance opened. Dad entered first, his lawyer beside him. His gray hair was recently trimmed, his suit costly, yet his skin held a pale quality I'd never noticed. His eyes found mine across the hallway, hard and frigid like January ice on Lake Michigan. I maintained his stare without wavering, something impossible 6 months prior. Mom followed, fingers working her pearl strand. Her eyes appeared red-rimmed, cosmetics carefully applied to mask what sleepless nights couldn't hide. Upon seeing me, her pace stumbled. Parker lagged behind them, examining the floor pattern, shoulders curved inward beneath his dark suit. He appeared diminished somehow. Mark touched my arm. "They're frightened," he murmured. "Keep that in mind." Mom separated from Dad, approaching with extended arms. "Sierra, please. We can remain a family." I stepped backwards slightly. "We are family, Mom. That's precisely why this causes such pain." Her expression collapsed. Before she could reply, the court officer announced our case number. Within the courtroom, I sat upright beside Mark while Dad's attorney delivered their opening argument, depicting me as an unappreciative daughter who misinterpreted routine family financial management. The judge, a woman in her 60s with sharp eyes behind frameless spectacles, listened expressionlessly. Mark stood when our opportunity came. His voice resonated throughout the room as he presented each document: bank transfers matching Parker's tuition payments, withdrawal receipts bearing my forged signature, Grandma Clara's explicit trust directions, and Dad's systematic violations as trustee. Your Honor, this isn't simply poor financial oversight, Mark concluded. This constitutes intentional fraud committed against Miss Bennett during her hospitalization when she couldn't defend her interests. The judge's eyes narrowed while examining the signature analyses. Her attention shifted to Dad, who fidgeted when summoned to testify. I approached the witness stand with confident steps. The oath felt weighty on my tongue. Miss Bennett, Mark began, please describe your financial contributions to your family's household. I recalled precise amounts: $15, $387 the previous year alone. I described managing 2 positions while completing online courses, detailed discovering Grandma Clara's trust only after Parker received his graduation condominium. Dad's attorney tried unsettling me during cross-examination. Isn't it accurate that your parents supplied housing, meals, and assistance throughout your life? Yes, I replied. And I contributed over $40,000 in financial aid plus hundreds of hours of unpaid accounting services for their enterprise since turning 18. When Dad testified, his composure cracked under the judge's direct inquiries about the signatures. These were family resources, he snapped. I made choices as household head. Mr. Bennett, the judge said, removing her glasses, a trust isn't a household choice. It's a legal responsibility. This seems like intentional breach of fiduciary obligation. Dad's face turned deep red. My daughter has always been problematic. That's sufficient. The judge interrupted. We'll pause for 20 minutes. In the corridor, Dad's attorney approached Mark with a manila envelope. I positioned myself close enough to overhear the proposal: $125,000 to settle, half of what was taken. Advise her to accept it, Dad's attorney muttered. Family conflicts become messy. Mark glanced at me. I shook my head once. The offer increased to $175,000 before recess concluded. They're panicking now, Mark observed. They understand how this appears. I want what was intended for me, I told him. Not a cent less. Mom found me by the water fountain, eyes brimming with tears. I knew it wasn't correct, she whispered, but I didn't prevent it. I simply wanted harmony. I looked at her, truly looked, perhaps for the first time. The woman who taught me watercolors on Sunday afternoons, who never shouted, who never defended me either. This isn't about retribution, Mom. It's about fairness. Sometimes harmony costs too much. When court reconvened, the judge announced her decision with sharp precision: complete restoration of the trust fund plus legal expenses, additional penalties for fraudulent misuse, formal accounting of all trust assets within 30 days. Furthermore, she added, looking directly at Dad, I'm forwarding this case to the State Bar Association given Mr. Bennett's legal license and position of trust. Outside court later, reporters gathered on the courthouse steps. I declined their shouted inquiries with a polite headshake. Dad brushed past me, anger radiating from his rigid posture as he pushed through the crowd. Parker lingered, hands thrust in his pockets. Sierra, his voice cracked. I didn't comprehend what we were doing. I paused, studying my brother's face, the boy who received everything I didn't, who never questioned why. Comprehension requires willingness to see truth, I told him quietly. Then I walked down the steps alone toward the car, where Aunt Susan waited, toward whatever lay ahead. The spring air felt pure in my lungs for the first time in years. I breathed deeply, filling my stomach. In subsequent weeks, news traveled quickly through our suburban Chicago community. I learned about Dad's professional consequences from Aunt Susan, not because I sought information, but because it arrived with my morning coffee at her kitchen table. Robert's been requested to resign from the Community Foundation Board, Susan said, sliding the local business publication across the table. His name appeared in a brief article on page 3. The Chamber of Commerce is apparently next. I pushed the journal aside without reading further. I'm not collecting souvenirs from his downfall. Nobody would fault you for taking some satisfaction in it. I have balance sheets to examine for my first genuine client. I tapped my laptop. That's more gratifying than watching him lose status. Susan observed me over her reading glasses, then nodded. The quiet approval in her expression meant more than she realized. My phone buzzed with a message. Mom's name displayed on the screen, still listed as Mother rather than Elaine. A small resistance to complete separation I hadn't yet resolved. Can we meet for coffee tomorrow? Just the two of us. 3 months since the court decision, and this marked her 5th request. I'd refused the previous 4. My finger hovered over the screen before typing. Perkins Cafe, 10 a.m. Susan noticed my expression. Elaine? I nodded. She wants to meet. And you're going this time? Not a question. Time to hear what she needs to say. I closed my laptop. Judge her present actions, not just past failures. The following morning, Mom sat at a corner table in Perkins, appearing smaller somehow. Her pearl necklace was missing, replaced by a simple silver pendant. Her hands encircled her mug as if seeking warmth despite the June heat outside. Thank you for coming, she said when I slid into the opposite seat, her voice catching. I've left your father. The statement hung between us. I waited for more, taking a measured sip of the coffee I'd ordered. I've rented an apartment near the community college. She straightened slightly. I'm teaching children's art classes there part-time, but it's a beginning. A beginning toward what? Toward becoming someone I'm not ashamed to face in the mirror. Her eyes met mine directly, something she rarely did during family confrontations. I enabled something terrible, Sierra. I can't continue pretending our family was what I wanted people to believe it was. I studied her face, searching for the performative sorrow she'd perfected at country club events. Instead, I found something raw and unfamiliar, authenticity. We have considerable distance to cover, I told her finally. Not forgiveness, not yet, but acknowledgement that doors aren't permanently sealed. My phone chimed with a notification, a text from Parker, his first communication since the hearing. I'm relocating to Colorado. I need a fresh beginning. The condo's being sold. You'll receive the proceeds through Mark. I never considered how unjust it all was.
I'm sorry.
I read it twice before responding. Growth starts with honesty. I hope you discover yours. Simple words that cost me nothing but meant everything. I'd stopped measuring my responses by how much pain they might inflict on others and started measuring them by their truthfulness. A week later, I signed documents on a small craftsman house 3 blocks from Lake Michigan. Nothing elaborate, 2 bedrooms, a front porch with a swing, and windows that flooded the rooms with morning light. The real estate agent handed me the keys with congratulations on my starter home. It's not a starter, I corrected her. It's exactly what I want. My accounting practice expanded steadily, 3 clients, then 5, then 12. Word spread about the young accountant who spotted discrepancies others missed, who explained complex tax matters in straightforward language. My grandmother's trust money remained mostly untouched in investments, a safety net I maintained but didn't rely on. You've created something genuine here, Mark observed during our quarterly review meetings. Most people who experienced what you did would still be nursing their wounds. Wounds heal faster when you stop aggravating them, I replied, showing him my business projections for the coming year. The email arrived on a Thursday evening as I reviewed client files from Denise Harrington, a name from elementary school, someone I'd shared lunch tables with until our paths separated in high school. Sierra, I heard about everything that occurred with your family. I'm back in the area after a divorce and could use a familiar face from simpler times. Coffee sometime? Old Sierra would have questioned the timing, wondered if this was curiosity disguised as connection. New Sierra simply responded, I'd like that. How's Saturday? Our coffee meeting on Sunday turned into brunch, then a walk along the lakeshore. Denise's laughter came easily, her questions genuine. She didn't avoid what happened, acknowledged it, then moved forward. By fall, we had a standing Sunday morning hiking appointment, weather permitting. Family isn't always blood, she said as we watched sunset colors dance across the water. Sometimes it's who sees you clearly and remains anyway. On Clara's birthday, I visited her grave, with wildflowers gathered from my own garden. The cemetery was quiet, fallen leaves creating a copper carpet between the stones. I traced the letters of her name with my fingertip. You saw what was approaching, I whispered. You tried to shield me even after you were gone. I placed the flowers against her headstone with a small note tucked among the stems. Thank you for seeing me. The wind lifted my hair as I stood, carrying the scent of autumn and possibility. Clara gave me more than money. She gave me the blueprint for a life built on integrity rather than appearance. Her legacy isn't just in my bank account. It's in every choice I make that honors truth over convenience. I drove home as sunset faded to twilight, to a house that's entirely mine, filled with only the things and people I choose to welcome. At present, I stand on my porch watching the sunset paint Lake Michigan in strokes of amber and gold. 1 year, 365 days since I walked away from my parents' mahogany dining table and the life built on pretense. The lake breeze carries the scent of spring blossoms from my small garden. I've planted everything myself, perennials that return stronger each season. The metaphor isn't lost on me. My accounting practice occupies the renovated sunroom of this modest lakeside cottage, 4 walls of windows where light pours in and spreadsheets make perfect sense. 27 clients now, mostly small businesses tired of being overlooked by larger firms. People who appreciate precision and honesty. Sierra, you've got to try this. Hannah holds out a glass of something fizzy and pink. My latest creation. I accept the drink from my friend, a word that means something entirely different now. Friends aren't people who tolerate you at family functions. They're the ones who appear on moving day with boxes and takeout, who text to check if you need anything when you're working late. My modest living room holds 6 people tonight, gathered around a homemade cake with 27 candles. No crystal glasses or imported scotch, just genuine laughter that doesn't require maintaining appearances. To Sierra, says Marcus, my first client who became a friend, raising his glass, who proves that the best revenge is building something beautiful. I shake my head. Not revenge, just peace. Later, after my friends have departed, the phone rings. Mom's number. Our relationship exists now in careful coffee meetings every few weeks. Her art classes keep her busy, her voice stronger with each conversation. Happy birthday, Sierra. No theatrics in her tone, just quiet sincerity. I thought about you all day. Thank you. I settle into my porch swing. How's the watercolor class progressing? My students are showing real improvement. A pause. I'm teaching them to paint what they observe, not what they think should be there. The irony hangs between us. We both hear it. That's a valuable lesson, I say finally. Yes. Another pause. Parker called yesterday. He's interviewing for an assistant manager position at a sporting goods store in Denver. No family business, no condo, just finding his way on his own terms. I hope it works out for him. He asked for your number. I said I'd check with you first. Growth comes in small steps. You can give it to him after we hang up. I retrieve Grandma Clara's journals from my bookshelf. They've become a roadmap through my own history. Her elegant handwriting chronicles 3 generations of Bennett family patterns, the favoritism shown to sons, the daughters expected to accommodate and support without recognition. The cycle ends with you, she wrote in her final entry, as if she knew I would someday read it. Last week I met with Zoe, a 22-year-old starting her own graphic design business. She brought messy finances and dreams too big for her 1-bedroom apartment. Everyone says I should get a real job first, she told me, uncertainty creasing her forehead. Build something that reflects your values, not others' expectations, I replied, surprised by the certainty in my voice. The foundation matters more than how quickly the walls go up. The Christmas card from Dad remains unopened in my desk drawer. Some bridges stay burned by choice, not accident. From my porch, I can see the entirety of my rebuilt life. The garden I planted, the office where I work, the kitchen where I cook meals that nourish rather than impress. Everything chosen, nothing inherited except Clara's watch on my wrist and her wisdom in my decisions. The greatest inheritance wasn't the trust fund that secured my freedom, though I remain grateful for Clara's foresight. It was the courage she modeled, the willingness to recognize when walking away creates more value than staying. Sometimes the bravest thing isn't fighting for your place at a table set by someone else. It's building your own table, measuring the wood yourself, and inviting people who see you clearly to sit there.